I guess I start.
No, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. We're gonna start now, okay?
Oh, okay, cool.
It's gonna start on me first. Hey, my name is Christoph, Christoph, and I'm here joined with Davie J. How's it going, Davie J?
I'm doing great, Christoph. How are you?
Great. This is the Third Eye Alliance official podcast. Tell us a little bit about the Third Eye Alliance, Davie J.
Well, we are a group of like-minded individuals with a passion for spiritual, supernatural, weird, wonderful, cryptozoology, astrology, tarot cards, ghost hunting, UAPs, psychic phenomenon, and conspiracy theories, and pretty much anything else you can kind of throw in that. So
now this is both a video and an audio podcast. So those of you who are watching this in the form of the video podcast, you just witnessed Dave reading off a piece of paper. Can we see the piece of paper there, Davie J?
Sure, it is organized the way I like my organization.
We wrote that last week for the introduction last week. And see, these are the things that if you don't just listen to it, if you actually watch it as a video podcast, these are all the amazing things that you can witness, as well as my hair. Look at this. My hair is crazy today. Tell us about our guest today, Davie J.
Well, our wonderful guest today is Onamie. Welcome, Onamie. She's a Vedic astrologer.
No, she's not. She's not. I asked her about that ahead of time. Tell us a little bit about yourself and you're the astrology that you do.
Yeah, sure. So I've been doing tropical astrology for about 15 years. I started learning about Vedic about 5 years ago, so I'm still getting acquainted with it. But a forever student of astrology. I've been a professional now for about 4 years. And every time I try to escape it, every time I try to pull away from it and be logical, everything goes to shit. And I have to dive right back with it. So I feel like I don't have a choice, but I love it. And I love reading for people. It helps me make sense of everything around me, all the craziness. So.
And you feel like the universe is like pushing you to do this, right?
Yeah, I have zero say in it. Like I've tried to just put it aside.
It was the same thing when I started doing tarot cards. I started doing tarot cards on Fiverr. You're on Fiverr too. We're going to promote your Fiverr as well. But when I started doing it on Fiverr, it was just like everything just pulled me in. It's just like, guess what? You're doing 20 readings today. So yeah, where are you driven? Like where is it driving you to? What do you think the universe is trying to get you to do that you're kind of holding back from?
I think knowing my own chart and having experiences with reading and stuff, I feel like I am being pulled towards doing astrology full time, but mostly just to help people, because they will come to an astrologer. What I find is they'll come to an astrologer at their
what's going on in the background there? Is that you, Dave?
Yeah, there's kids in the hallway.
Okay, hold on a minute. We'll just wait for the kids. I would normally just let that go, but it sounded like the kid was being murdered in the hallway. So I don't want anybody going, who's neglecting their child? I don't want that.
I think they're off school today. It's Easter Monday.
Yeah.
Okay. So we were talking about where you said, oh, wait.
Oh, they're still there.
Okay, we're just going to ignore. For those of you that are listening, that's a kid outside of the hallway of Davie J's place. We are not murdering children. We are not neglecting children in any way, shape, or form, okay? And if you do hear more screaming children, trust me, they're safe. They're with their mother out in the hallway, okay? And the mother's choosing to have them out in the hallway, and they'll go back into their apartment.
Or down the elevator.
Or down the elevator. There we go. Okay, just had to say that. I'm sorry for interrupting you. So where did we leave off?
Yeah, just I'm just being, I think I have to go towards helping people, because every time, usually when I get clients, they are either, I don't want to say desperate, but they feel like that, and they feel like they don't know where to turn. One of my actual first clients was someone who was a big skeptic.
Yeah.
One of my first clients on Fiverr, and but she was ready for it because life wasn't, she just needed some guidance, and that's usually how it is. And at the end of that reading, I think she's still a client like I've done multiple readings for her. So it's always nice too when skeptics come, and then you're able to at least give them something to think about, like, hey, this isn't all like woo woo, it's
Mhm.
it can be, you can experience it for yourself.
Yeah, and when I do, I try to make things as practical as possible. I try to make it like when I'm doing my readings, you see me shuffle the cards, you see me pull the cards. I try to make it. And it's interesting how many people that are like supposed not believers order. Like it's a lot of people. They know they just don't want to admit it, and that's kind of one of the things that Davie J and I are trying to do here with the Third Eye Alliance, is to kind of remove the stigma of this sort of thing. It's okay to believe in this, and as far as the Third Eye Alliance, it's like a group. We're going to be making a group, a club type deal, and it's for everybody. It's for everybody, but for now, just for people that appear on the show. And if you want to be on the Third Eye Alliance, visit thirdeyalliance.com. You can submit to be a part of the Third Eye Alliance, and maybe you can be a guest on the show as well too. I'm just taking over. Davie, let's you ask a question.
What was it that first got you started in your interest in it?
So I grew up Hindu. Like that's the religion I grew up in was Hindu. I still am Hindu practicing. But a big part of that's where the Vedic astrology comes in. A big part of the Hindu religion is dealing with astrology. So that was my first introduction to it. And then I was very young. And then as time went on, when I moved to Canada finally, big question marks everywhere, right? I was a teenager. And so I'm like, let me just dive in, because I always had an interest in it, but there was a big logical part of me that was like, oh, I have free will, I don't need to know about any of this. It's fine. Like but I spent a summer reading everything I could about it, like on the internet, any books I could find, everything I could, memorized all the stuff that was possible to memorize. And then after that started practicing, and that's after, like, I think about around like 15, that's when I really like went full force into it. But I got started at a very young age, and my mother is also like that. Like she does believe in these things, but she's more religious, right? Rather than like, she's spiritual. She says she's spiritual, but definitely practicing more on the religious side, right? So she was the one that actually gave me that that space to be open with it, right? I was just always naturally like skeptical about everything, so that's why it took me some time. But yeah, that's how I started.
And when did you start reading other people? Like, of course, you probably started on your friends, like we all do.
Yeah. I want to say like probably when I hit university. So early 20s, that's when I started to actually take it a little bit more seriously and challenge myself by reading. And I loved it. And what I found was, obviously you start on yourself, right? And up to this day, I'll look at my chart and have an aha moment or find something new, right? So I think that, it's really interesting. So yeah.
What kinds of aha moments have you had for yourself like that?
I think I feel like, we'll have some self-sabotaging like things that I'll do, or say maybe
guilty.
Just like, patterns that you see come up, right? Like the kinds, like how I would react to certain conversations, like for example, with my parents, or why sometimes, I think one of the biggest ones was being in a relationship and being close to someone. Why did it make me feel icky? But then when I checked my chart, I was like, okay, it's not the other person. It's just me having to come to terms with being okay, being open, having someone close to me. So it was a thing where I was like, okay, how do I work on it? And looking at the chart, once you understand it, it's helped me work on a lot of things, like personality wise, or like reactionary wise, like how I'm reacting to certain things. How can I regulate myself, right? Because a lot of us like will, go to therapy for it, which is great. Like everyone, I think, should go.
Yeah,
to
I
therapy,
100% support therapy as
100%.
well. Yeah.
Yeah. But this was, when I was younger, at least one way for me to like get that self-awareness. It helped me be self-aware of myself.
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty amazing. It's funny how everything is so connected like that. And yeah. Do you have any questions, Chris?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. So how much of astrology is intuition and how much of it is like number calculations and things like that? Like, is it just one or the other, or is it a combination of both?
Definitely a combination of both. You have to know, the logical part of it, which is the calculations, the signs, the houses, a little bit basic geometry, these things, right? Very important. But I want to say it's like 40-60, 40% logic and 60% intuition. Any astrologer, like worth their salt, is gonna have a good command of their intuition, right? And like recognize it and know how to use it. If you are reading astrology, like if you're reading a chart and there's no intuition involved, you could tell the difference in like you're just not going to get something that resonates with people, right? Because I feel like when I'm reading, my process is when I'm reading, I get into a certain flow state where I can, like, I'll get images in my head or words in my head that I know aren't from me, but they're coming in. And every time I mention those things, every time I talk about them, the person I'm reading for, there's a reaction. They definitely relate to it. There's something there, right? So you have to have intuition when you're doing this.
Absolutely. I believe that flow state is your intuition just taking over. That's the soul self taking over. Yeah. You have athletes talking about it. You have actors talking about it. That's being fully present in the moment. You're separating from your everything around you. Is just actually you're completely present and in the moment and separated from everything behind you and everything in front of you. You're not worried about. It's only now. So that's right. Yeah.
Now, sorry to interrupt, but no, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's like a straight sometimes I see it as like it's like lightning coming in sometimes. Like that's how it feels. Like I call it a download. Like I'll just get like, information that's like super accurate. And definitely it's being present and that direct line.
Absolutely. Yeah, everybody's talking about downloads now, and it's coming from source. It's not coming from internet. Actually, it comes from there too. Sometimes we get funky messages from other people, and we're like, "Oh,
yeah." Tell the story, Davie.
Well, I had showed our first podcast to my best friend, and she responded, but there was this weird message that popped up in her chat to me, and right underneath she's like, I didn't send that, but the message in the chat was like this weird link which I didn't click on, and there was a message that looked like it was from her talking about the link, except she didn't write it. And I'd have to read what the message even is. I have it sitting here still on my phone. I screenshot it. Maybe we can post it.
I will put it up when we edit this. Yeah.
Where did I put it? Oh, I know. I put it in a special folder, which of course I don't have handy because I am slow at doing this crap. This is why I have always worked with Christoph, because he's the tech guy.
I can figure out most things out.
Yep. Where did I put it? No. Oh, there we go. It's right in front of me. And let's see. Where's the other one? Stupid thing. I don't have the other part. I only screenshot two.
Look into your chat with me.
I will do that now.
Yeah, because it shouldn't be. It should be closer to the top or closer to the bottom. And what would be really weird is if the message just disappeared from everywhere.
Oh, nope. I just found
Okay, good.
Okay.
All right. So start the story again, Davie.
All right. Yeah, what happened was, what was really neat is my friend who I had just shown our first podcast to was about to respond and let me know. And a link got sent to me through her chat with a message in the link that looked like it was written by her. But at the bottom, she's like, I have no idea where that link came from. And the message in it said, you guys touched on so many little things that I wanted to delve into more. So I hope you guys get into doing some more soon with an exclamation point. I didn't click on the link. I sent it to Chris, and he safely opened it up and looked into it, and it had absolutely nothing to do with anything. So it was just this weird, funky message. And we're like, that's from somewhere else, letting us know that we're doing whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we get little messages like that. And if that's what this show is all about, is to try and show people that we get messages everywhere. You're walking down the street, you'll get little signs, or you'll get music coming from out of nowhere. I personally will once in a while have a song pop in my head randomly, and a week later I'll walk into a store and it's playing, and I'm like, oh, there's that song. Turn the corner, bump into someone I know. That's how the universe works. It's funky when you learn how to listen like that.
Yeah, sometimes I've heard people calling my name from a distance, and then I look and there's nobody there, but then it's like I'm meant to go there, and you bump into somebody, or you find out something that you didn't know if you move in that direction. Most of the time I'm busy though. When I hear the voices, I'm like, I don't got time. I'm going to go do this. But every time I have followed, there's always been something there to kind of discover. Now, the wow factor, there's a lot of people out there that are doing, astrology, various types of astrology, but a lot of people don't have the wow factor. And you were kind of talking about that, like basically picking up on that information. And I call it the wow factor, because that's when people go, wow, right? How did you know that? How did you pick up on this? And, for me, every time I kind of encounter somebody that can do that, can make somebody say, wow. Now, you did a reading for me, and I didn't give you I didn't give you everything you needed to do it. And I did that on purpose because, I don't know, it's like, it's that logical side of my brain that's like, you don't want to know. It's, and I'm constantly in a battle, because there's the intuition side, which keeps proving itself over and over again. And then there's the other side of my brain that's like, must be a robot and think logically. So I didn't give you any information, but still, like the reading that you provided me, major wow factor there. There's a lot of things, although I probably didn't tell you much about it. I don't communicate well about things that scare me in a good way. But we've prepared some stuff today. We've provided you with information about Davie J, and you're going to be, I guess, doing some things with Davie. Tell us what you have for us.
All right. So yes, I have your birth info, and I have a chart here. And so I was just looking at it, seeing what I can, read about you. Yeah.
Should be interesting. I got nothing to hide.
Perfect. Yeah. So if we can start.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you're going to share your screen or something, correct?
I'm going to try and share my screen here. This should be it. Yeah. I hope it looks okay. Yeah, it looks good.
Okay, now, because this is going to be living as both a video and an audio podcast, kind of describe a little bit more about the different things that you're talking about.
Definitely.
Yeah.
No problem. So this is your Western astrological natal chart, Davie. Okay, I'm not sure if you've seen it, like if you've done, readings before, but this is what like the Western chart would look like. Vedic charts will look a lot different, but what I find is the information is pretty much the same, just how you read it. So like I'm gonna keep it simple, but there's a few things, because I know you are. Christoph told me, a Reiki master, right? So
Yep.
it was very interesting to look at this chart and see.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
You can see that in there.
Yeah, so
That's
like
really
definitely
neat.
something signaling to doing work like that, right?
Okay,
So
cool.
I'm gonna start off first. Again, I'm not sure how much you know about it, but let's start off
Oh,
here. So in a
treat me like I'm completely green. No, nothing.
okay, gotcha, no problem. So in especially like nowadays, pop astrology, you'll hear a lot of people talking about their big three, right? So what is the big three? The big three is your rising sign, which is your ascendant. That's the constellation that was rising in the east when you, the moment you were being born. Then there's the sun sign, which I mean we're all familiar with that, right? It's the month
Right.
you're born. You're a Libra,
Yeah.
and then there's the moon sign, which is the constellation where the moon is when you were born, and yours is in Pisces, right?
Okay.
Now the moon changes signs every 2.5 days, so it goes pretty quick.
Oh, cool.
And the rising will change every hour, hour and a half. So it goes pretty quick. And this is the reason why like cookbook astrology doesn't really work. A lot of people will say, oh, well, you know, like they'll read their horoscope in the newspaper and be like, this isn't real. This isn't me. I don't relate. Yeah, but that's because you have like 9 other planets and different placements. All this stuff creates like a map. I think this is like a map of a personality, right? And you have your strengths, your weaknesses, and then obviously you have your free will, so you choose to go where you want to go, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So let's start off first things first with the ascendant. Okay. So Scorpio was the one rising when you were being born. So Scorpio ascendants tend to be the ascendant represents kind of your physical body and the lens in which you see the world. So how do you approach the world? And they tend to be, you know, they can be intuitive. Scorpio is a water sign, so most of the water signs they automatically have that connection, right? To they can feel undercurrents, especially Scorpio. Very decisive. Scorpio is ruled by Mars, and Mars is a planet, it's a fiery planet. They don't mind like diving deep into things. This is what you'll see with Scorpio is they like investigation, right, and research. Strong person.
That's right on the screen. Well, when we're recording this, it's on the screen when we're recording it. It won't be in the recording, but that's cool. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so they definitely like to, you know, and then you have this, I don't know if you can, yeah, you can see it here. This symbol here represents the North Node. And there's so much to it. But when I see the North Node in the first house, this really means like prioritizing yourself, especially in the younger years, and what you want to do could have been a little difficult, right? It's always like most of the time I find like those folks will give to everyone else and kind of neglect what they want to do. So it really represents like spending the rest of your life learning how to prioritize you, right, and building that your personality up.
Taken me a while, but I'm getting there.
It is good for relationships, but also, you know, if I find that people, if they don't know who they are or don't know what they want, then it can be a little tough on the relationship too. Like, but this usually these folks do well in relationships, especially when they're younger, because they're ready to give. Another thing I want to talk about is actually I'm going to skip right up here. So we see 2 planets; they're directly like conjunct each other. This is your 12th house. So now you have your Sun, you have Pluto, and you have Mercury all in the 12th house. This is what we call a stellium. So a stellium means concentration of at least 3 or more planets in one house. So a house, you see this number here. This represents a house, and a house is represents different themes in your life, right? So they're very important. When you have planets there, it just means there's an emphasis on those themes in your life, right? When we talk about the 12th house, this is the hardest one to talk about because the 12th house is kind of like it's the end. Okay, it's the last house in the chart. It represents endings. The 12th house has to do with escapism, right? Escaping our reality, right? Not really being here. Like in I think in Hindi it's called Maya, or illusion, the illusion of the reality that we live in. The 12th house is all about escaping that, right?
So what would somebody do that has escapism? What would be the types of things that person
usually it's
would do?
anything creative. Mostly, like, I'll find like a lot of people who if they're not professional musicians, they play an instrument, or they're involved in some kind of band. They do painting. Music and painting I usually see in the 12th house. Also, anything that has to do with like being in service of others. I see that in the 12th house, or quite literally could be working in an institution. So whether that's a school, a hospital, jails, anything that's an institution that is away from society, or even like you can say, sure, a jail is isolation, right? Being in jail is an isolation, but also being in a monastery, you're isolating yourself, right? So it could be either or, a spiritual place or a not so spiritual place, but it all has to do with like isolation.
Interesting.
Being one with like being alone and being comfortable being alone. That's it. That kind of the hard part, because the 12th house is everything that's unconscious, right? The things that we aren't like thinking about on a daily basis. So when you have planets there, it's like either you bring that out in other people, right? Which will contribute to relationships that can be tinged with some conflict there, because no one wants to confront their subconscious or their unconscious, right? Everybody wants to be in control. And
Absolutely.
so when they come in contact with someone that pulls that out of them, it can be, you're probably the one receiving like, the aggressive reaction, or like, I don't want to hang around this person because they make me uncomfortable. But the uncomfortability is them not being able to handle right. So the sun is there, Pluto and Mercury especially. So the sun and Pluto are power planets. Pluto and Mercury together like this it gives someone, and I love that it's in the 12th house, because it actually will give you what most people don't have, is some insight into this area of confusion. So the 12th house is kind of like this pink fog. I find a lot of people who are into either like animation, or they are interested in like fantasy worlds, right? Creating fantasy worlds, or playing video games a lot. Anything to get them away from reality. I find that a lot here. When you have Pluto and Mercury together, it gives you this insight into either like your own subconscious or other people's, unconscious. There's this laser focus of like understanding things that most people don't understand. So the houses, I want to talk about like the 4th house, the 8th house, and the 12th house. Those are the houses that are concerned with intuition and being connected to the undercurrents of things. So when I see a lot of planets here, especially like this it's giving like what the energy I got out of it was like you can immediately pick up on things or know things about people that they wouldn't want you to know, or they themselves aren't aware of, right? And you could, so I can see that like you being interested in everything occult, right? There's not just an interest, there's a deep like, I think, an understanding there. And then like you're going deep into it. There's people that will just look at these videos or look at conspiracy theories, or dive in just a little bit, but you like there's an understanding there, right?
No, I start a podcast with my best friend.
Like, we want to talk about this. And that's so interesting because Mercury is the planet of communication, right? And it has to do with getting your message across, right? Like you have an idea or, some fact, and Mercury is the one that says, okay, let me go talk to this person about it, talk to that person, spread it around, right? So the fact that you guys are doing a podcast, I mean, that falls right under Mercury, just communicating, right, to the masses.
Wow. Cool.
Another thing I wanted to talk about with this was this Jupiter here, right? So this is Jupiter, Jupiter sitting in the 6th house in Aries. So Jupiter is the planet that has to do with they call it the guru, the teacher, the great benefic, right? It's the one that it's the lucky planet, right? And we see it's retrograde. So when I see Jupiter here, there's a strong sense of righteousness, or what's right, what's good, what's just. And there can be sometimes like a level of grandeur. Like I find that, you're somebody who, not only do you like to research, you like to speak on these things. You like to, and there's a theme here in your chart of like philosophy and belief system. So you're probably somebody who has thought about one's belief system, why you think the way you think, why is the world the way it is, those deeper modes, like those deeper conversations. You're talking about it, you're thinking about it. That's the theme, one of the big themes of your life, right?
Definitely, that's me. I can't deny that one.
And then I think like cherry on top in terms of you being connected, like intuition wise, is we have this Pisces moon. So Pisces moons are the most sensitive of the moon sign placements, right? They are the most sensitive because really? Pisces belongs originally it's in the 12th house, right? So if we were to start from the beginning of Aries, and like say Aries was here in the first house and travel all the way to the 12th, Pisces is the last sign in the zodiac, right? So they say that Pisces has can understand parts of everyone, right? Because it's like all encompassing. And when the moon comes here, these individuals, they tend to be very, very sensitive, like to, when you step into an environment, you can tell if somebody had a fight in there, or if somebody was like talking about you, like you can pick up on there was something that was happening there before you got there. Mm-hmm. I find Pisces moons, as they tend to just pick up on things so easily, whether they know it or not. Either their body will hold it, or it'll come out in some kind of expression, but they pick up a lot, and they tend to be like, music is so important to them. Music is so important to them because it helps them to maybe purge or process, I should say. A lot
music
of music
is big for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like across the board, I can't say it like how many I've seen. It's just like, usually the major culprits are music and painting. that's what I see. And to have it in the 5th house, people with moon in their 5th house, they tend to be really, really good with kids. They either like, being around kids tends to bring them a lot of joy. It's almost like therapy for them. Kids also find them very like, relatable, and have a very easy time being around people with moon in the 5th house. So it's like, I like, you have kids, I'm assuming, right? Because I heard no. Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
Those were other kids in the hallway.
Yeah.
Got you. They probably will find it easy to be around you if you had to be around children. Also, moon in the 5th house, they love to create. The 5th house has to do with creative self-expression and the actual act of creation. So whether it's the act of sex or creating art, moon in the 5th house, they have to create, whether it's leisurely, whether it's their profession, they have to create something that's their own. And they usually like don't have a problem being up on stage or being in front of people. Usually they're okay with it. But this is a placement that has to do with like, creating, and then also in Pisces. So I don't know if you're in a band or we're in a band, I wouldn't be surprised.
I haven't been.
Okay.
I've been in choirs. In high school, my aunt was actually the high school music teacher and convinced me to join the choir.
That's kind of a band. That's
kind of, yeah. I did get free music training that way for singing, but and then I joined the city choir in high school years, the youth choir.
Okay.
So that was my vocal training, but I always wanted to join a band, but I never did. So
okay, we're starting a band right now. The three of us, right now.
It'll be a rubber band.
Yes. Dave can sing. I'll play drums. I don't know. Whatever. Let's do it.
Onamie can beatbox, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. So let's see what else. Okay. One thing too I wanted to touch on. So you see this bad boy here, Uranus. Okay, Uranus is sitting right on top of your, like literally right on top of your rising sign, right? So that's pretty major. Anytime you see a planet sitting right on top of here, that's pretty major because it colors like you, right? And how people see you, right? And how you approach the world. This is, I want to say, the main reason why your mind will go in areas that other people would consider like out there, because Uranus is quite literally the planet of out there. It's the planet of rejecting the status quo, walking to the beat of their own drum. Yeah, it's like, okay, but why do we have to do this? Why can't we do this instead? Oh, those people are so stupid. Like this is the rebellious planet, right? It throws a wrench in everything that's established, good or bad, right? Standing alone, that's what it does, right? Is the planet we see, when we research rebellions. Even when I was researching the Haitian rebellion, this planet, like Uranus, it has to be in play. It has to be, it's there. It shows up in pretty much every major rebellion, right? So it's a planet that has to do with, walking to the beat of your own drum and asking questions that will upset people, right? But of course, like there has to be someone like that, right? You have to have it.
Do that at work.
The best place to do it, right?
But you're not on the rebel side though, there, aren't you? You're on the other side.
I'm a little more rebellious. Yeah, I'm for the people. I'm a union rep.
I was making a joke about something else. Maybe we'll reveal that something else later. Okay, sorry.
Oh man, yeah. So I find that like maybe especially in the younger years, you're having these questions. You're taking actions that are like completely different to your peers, and that can cause some issues, some hardship in life, especially in the younger years. But I find that Uranus, like also in the first house, there's ups and downs too in like in energy, right? Maybe there's a time period where you have, you can go, right? No stopping. And then just randomly, because Uranus is pretty randomly, it's just like you can't move, or you just do not have the energy to do certain things. But also like this is the planet that will give you those downloads I was talking about, that lightning I was talking about. This is that planet that does it. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was, if you had that ability to like get those downloads or like aha moments, right? Where
I get it a
like,
lot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's happening right on. Also, the houses, they all represent body parts, right? Different, like going from top going down, and obviously the first house represents the head, right? So I find like that's why when Uranus is there, it's usually like people think that it's not just physically, but also like what's going on in the brain, right? Because originally Aries, right, is in the first house. And I forget which exact part, but if you look at this glyph, there's a part in the brain that looks exactly like this, right? And Aries is there, like naturally that's, the first house is like, that's where it starts. So when Uranus is there, it's like you're getting blown up with like downloads, just like things are coming in at like really fast pace, just out of the blue. Being a union rep, this is so interesting because that was I have Uranus in my 10th house, and 10th house is career, and I feel the exact same way you feel about the exact same way. So that's not a surprise to me, because you're looking at power plays, like who's in power and how are they like what's the dynamic, right? Because you're fighting for the people, right? Which is always the right thing to do. Let me see. So the thing is, you have your rising sign here is Scorpio. The ruler of Scorpio is Mars. So Mars is sitting in a place that it doesn't do very well in. Mars is in 0 degrees of Cancer. It doesn't like to be in Cancer. Cancer is all about caring for others. Mars is all about doing its own thing, regardless of how people feel. So this can be more of similar like energy to what I was saying, like putting other people first and then kind of not really like feeling bad about it later, or like, why did I do that when I could have just focused on myself? So Mars has a really hard time in this space, because Cancer is asking it to consider others, and it doesn't. Like, that's not the energy of Mars, right? So there's that little like internal battle. But the good thing is, if you care strongly about something or someone, that's when that Martian energy, that drive, that like vitality, that aggression, that's when it comes out. So you would have to really, 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 like, you can't do something you don't care about. You can't like be around people you don't actually care about, because it will suck the energy out of you. So like, that's the way to deal with Mars in this area, which can be a problem because there are things we have to do that we don't really give a shit about. And that's really hard. Yeah. Another thing too, we got Saturn here. Okay, so Saturn is very important planet. We have it sitting in the 10th house. So usually I find this is someone's really good at politics here, or they're good at like dealing with politics, or dealing with like a mass, like, you know, big groups of people. When Saturn is in the 10th house is your public image, right? So how people don't have to know you personally, but they know of you, right? So, you know, it's like, you know, people in your organization, right? You just know them by name, and you know them by their job description,
right?
Your public image. When Saturn is there, you know, it can make you are being seen as someone who is very like, you know, you're authoritative, you know what you're doing, you know, even if you might not see yourself in that light, this is how the public at some point will see you, right? Because you seem organized, you know what you're doing, you know what you're saying, and you have this feel of authority, right? So it's especially in Leo, because Leo is the sign of like royalty, right? Kings, the monarch, right? And when Saturn is there, Saturn actually rules the masses, right? Everyone that is like, I guess in olden terms, like, you have the kings and the queens, the monarch, and then you have, you know, their subjects. And Saturn rules the subjects, right? The peasants, right? The people doing actually all the hard work. So when I see it in the 10th house, it's a really strong place to have it, right? It means later on in life, you know, anytime like past 30, once you hit your 30s, it's like you start to build your image a lot way stronger. So it's like, all right, by the older you get, the more, you know, you're way more established, and like you're definitely seen as someone who's like authoritative in like your own wherever you end up, right? So because, you know, you have Leo here in the 10th house, I mean, it's definitely like, you're definitely going to be, maybe, I don't want to say on stage, but it's like you have to be in front of a lot of people all the time, or you have to deal with a lot of people all the time, because that's Leo. Leo's is the entertainer. So however you're doing that, you're in front of people all the time.
That bodes well for the podcast.
Standing in person in front of thousands I don't know about.
This is the easiest way to do it, right?
Really, it is. We're just three people having a conversation.
Yeah. And then the audience, right? Which we don't see.
Yeah, they're just clicking.
Let's see what else. Okay. We have Neptune here in the second house. So let's see, Neptune in the second house. The second house has to do with the money you make, your material security, and your value system, right? Like what you value in life. When Neptune's there, Neptune is a planet of like compassion, also a planet of illusion, art, right? Pretty things, good things, right? It's the planet of unconditional love, right? So when it comes into the second house, you know, your idea, like your value system is much different from everyone else, right? So if, say, somebody had like Venus in the second house, they would be concerned with making money, right? Actual material security. But when Neptune's there, which is more spiritual. It's more compassionate. Their value system is more of a being good, to showing that compassion. Money kind of falls to the wayside. Like, it's important, but it is not the thing that like will drive you, right? That's not the top of your value system.
Yeah, if it was, I think I'd be a millionaire by now.
Yeah. Let's see. Venus. We have Venus in Virgo. Venus doesn't like to be in Virgo. Virgo is, Christoph is Virgo. Virgo is detail oriented, all about facts, all about doesn't necessarily have the time for like the feelings or like emotions per se. Like Venus is all the lovey-dovey feelings, the sensuality, sexuality, luxury items, money, all the nice things in life, right? The things that make this reality a little bit more bearable, right? Music, art, these things. So when I see Venus in Virgo, people tend to they tend to be a little picky in the people that they're entertaining, right? People that they're hanging out with.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, it's your 11th house, so the friend group, right? Like, or the organizations that you're a part of. I would say you do love being in organizations, or you do love having a lot of friends around, and they love having you around, right? Because Venus is a really nice planet to have in the 11th house, because you're seen as like caring and just bringing this like very pleasant vibe. But it's like, these are the people that will sometimes agree to plans early, and then the day comes and it's like, oh God, I just don't want to do it anymore. Usually I find that, but if it's somebody that they really, really care about, they don't have a problem. But usually they can be a little picky, Venus and Virgo. Not the best place for Venus, but it has its merits. Venus, Venus rules your sun sign. So your sun sign, really what that is the sun represents your soul, right? So you'll see like the glyph for it is a circle with a dot in the middle, right? It represents your soul. So as we get older, that's the expression that we are refining, right? We're refining that expression of our sun sign, because it is our vitality, it is our soul. And you have yours in Libra. Libras are very, very charming, can get along with pretty much anyone, right? And Libra is also, especially in the younger years, and I've seen this a lot, they tend to be people pleasers.
That was me.
Yeah. Yeah, they tend to just, give, unless they have something else in the chart that would balance that out. And so learning how to, Libra is a sign of figuring out balance, right? It's the scales, right? It's the scales. So it's figuring out balance, how much to give, how much to take. And that is the dance of Libra. That's the biggest thing that they have to figure out. Very charming, very like friendly, really good in social settings. And especially like, let me see, this Jupiter, it's like there's a big level of like optimism, whether you have the optimism, you have like the you're thinking deep, right? And a lot of people in our day-to-day don't really think deeply. So when they come across somebody who's ready to have these big conversations, it's like either they run from it or they're very much invested, right? So maybe people will tell you, it's giving like life coach energy, or, I've learned so much from you, even if it's like a small conversation. But you do imbue conversations with a level of optimism and maybe making those concepts or those big ideas or those philosophical ideas, making them not so big and scary. So people feel a lot more comfortable after. It's like you get them to think, right? And they go home and they think in ways that they probably wouldn't have before.
That's really cool.
Yeah. You guys have any questions?
I'm just fascinated with everything because it's so detailed.
Yeah. Like,
But yeah, you hit on a lot of stuff already. Like, I don't know, just I'm sitting here just watching and smiling at the things that you hit, and I'm like, yep, yeah. Let's, Davie, talk about some of the things. Talk about some of the things that have already been hit on here.
Well, actually, quite a while ago, you mentioned that I would be working in kind of an institutional kind of a setting. Well, and I'd be like kind of solo or on my own, very solitary. I work night shift in an airport in security.
No way.
Yeah.
It's like going into a prison. You get searched and scanned.
Behind a fence with barbed wire on everything. Yep. So I feel like I'm in a prison when I'm at work sometimes, and I'm like, oh wait, I have to ask to go to the bathroom.
I also work in security, so I totally get it.
Yeah, darn Matrix jobs. Oh well, you got to pay the bills somehow, right?
Right.
Yeah, because when we follow our passion, it doesn't always pay right away.
Oh my god!
But eventually, it does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot more you hit on too. Mm-hmm. Like,
oh goodness, yeah.
It's like every other thing you were saying, I was just like, I had to put my hands in front of my mouth because I was smiling. And I'm like, yeah,
And I'm just nodding, going, yep, that's, yep,
Now doing this, how often do you get responses back from people about what worked and what didn't? Like,
pretty often, because mostly what I do is the natal chart reading. That's usually what I get asked to do. And the natal chart reading is really like reading the map of the person's like soul, like their personality, right? So usually I'm pretty good at it in terms of picking up things, just because also once you start seeing patterns with the more readings you do, you start to see patterns, right? You can pick up on those as well. But so far I've had feedback pretty much like, I want to say 90% of the time. And it's been pretty good, especially like I keep going back to the first client that I had through Fiverr, and her being a skeptic. And I remember her saying after the first reading, she said word for word, I wish my therapist knew about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think she'd been going to them for almost like 7 years, and there were things that I mentioned that, apparently the therapist couldn't pick that up. So the hearing that for me is like a sigh of relief. It's like, okay, because the thing is, when you're using your intuition, at least for me, I sometimes feel like, oh my god, I hope I'm not talking out my ass because I'm getting things right. But then it's like, I really hope I'm not talking out of my ass. But so far, it's been really good.
And that's a logical side of your brain kind of saying, I'm talking right now, and is what does this, you don't know what makes sense to the other people, it's,
you gotta let that go.
But it's not about making sense of them or their reactions. It's just about telling them what you know and you can see, and, whether they react well to it or not. Sometimes you have to tell somebody something that they're ignoring, and then they later on you'll get a nice little message saying, you were right about that thing.
Oh god, that happens so many times.
Oh yeah.
Or you do have to play devil's advocate sometime and be that person, and then they're like, that I needed that. I've had a few people go, I did need that. So
definitely.
Absolutely. Anything else we're going to see in the chart, or is that's about it, right?
There's things, but I don't know, like it takes a lot more to like explain, because like I could go into the houses, right?
I think it was sufficient to prove. Now, the interesting thing is it's the people listening and watching. They're not in Davie's brain, so but yeah, just from what I know about Davie, there's too many things that are just dead on. Too many things, and I'm not going to mention some of them because some of the things that it was dead on with are personal, and we're not going to talk about it in a podcast. Amazing. I guess we could stop the screen share.
Yep.
I
think
there we go. Okay. So based on that, how can people get in touch with you? Like people that would want an astrology reading from you, how do they get in contact with you?
Well, I'm on Fiverr. So my handle is Alien Brain Astrology on Fiverr. And then I'm working on building up my Instagram.
Great.
Trying to do that. So best bet, Fiverr, Alien Brain Astrology.
I love that name. That is so cool. Yeah. And thank you so much. That's amazing. And I can tell that there's like even more depth that you go into when you do a full reading, and you probably spend a couple of hours with somebody doing a full reading.
How much time does it take? Like the reading that you did for me, that was an audio recording, and it was a long ass audio recording. Yep. Like it's the amount of dedication and effort that you put in. Like this is, tremendous what's involved. And I know the reading that you did for me, even though I didn't give you anything, I don't.
That's it.
You were dead on there. Now, as far as astrology, I want to kind of dig a little deeper here. You talked about your intuition. Now, is astrology the thing that you use to confirm your intuition? Like what's in more control of you? Like, is your intuition more in control of you, or is like the logical side of your brain more in control of you?
I want to say it's my intuition, because like I'll also get like those really strong gut feelings. There are things that like it will at very interesting times it will scream at me. Like I will either, when it's really serious, it will scream at me, like voice in my head loud as hell, neon lights of words just going across, like it will scream. And then there's times where it's like a gut feeling that's really strong. And since I was a kid, I've always just paid attention to it because it just felt right. I know some people just don't, for whatever reason, whether it was their upbringing or they're just scared of it. Another comment I get quite a bit is like, after I'm done a reading, is like, oh, that's scary, you're scary.
I think
good.
The three of us have had that at many times in our lives.
Yeah.
It's like I'm really not trying to be, but I think my intuition is in control, but there will be times where I will be logical and then be like, well, there you go, you kind of screwed up by being logical.
Logic doesn't always win, no.
It doesn't.
No. And I talk to Davie J about this all the time, how when I don't follow my intuition and instinct, that's when things go badly.
Yeah.
And, especially, for me, like the last probably like 10 years, although I've been doing stuff forever, but it's like the last 10 years I've been allowing my logic to have less control. But it's like when I listen to my intuition, it's just like I'm able to get through life and escape bad situations. And like during COVID, when COVID was going on, if I wasn't listening to my intuition during that time, my life could have been pretty bad. But things were normal for me during COVID, and everybody else was like having trouble. But I always find, for me, everybody looks at me and they're like, how are you doing that? How do you do this? You always fall into this. If things work out, like it's because, when everything gets bad, I always followed my intuition. And now I'm decided, hey, let's just do it. You
do that so many times and it always works every time.
It's I guess, the direct connection, the download. And as far as you saying like screaming, it feels like somebody yelling into the back of my head. And the screaming is like, you idiot, you got to be doing this and do this now. Like, it's not nice, whoever's screaming into the back of my head. but it's like if I listen to it,
Yeah.
it's good. It's the interesting thing. Like people who don't understand this are usually the people that aren't listening to it. And I always find it weird. It's like when, and I've talked to both of you, I think, about this. It's like sometimes when you're in a room with people, a group of people, you don't know, if they believe or not or but every time, a conversation gets brought up and this sort of thing, you're like, ooh, yeah, that person is it's like they're in tune, right? Now the funny part is I taught both of you. Okay. Now completely unrelated to what I do, tarot card, it's my other life, my other, I do many things, but it's like I don't know who's going to be who at the end, but like Davie, I connected with Davie like instantly. It was just like, okay, well, this is a friend for life. And even when I was teaching and you as well too, it's like you said something and I'm like, okay, great. And I think I mentioned something quietly to you about being on Fiverr, and then you were like, "No way, that's not true." And it was like, okay, and it's just like, yeah, it's I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, it's always fun when you connect to people that are kind of have more access to things. And the thing that I've been realizing about myself over the last little while, it's like I've always had a third sense of people. Like it's like I see something extra. Like other people base their thoughts on people based on how they look and what they say. I don't listen to what people say a lot of the time, and I just pick up a sense and an energy from them. You do that as well, too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do something fun beyond the astrology. Okay, what other, just based on your instincts, your intuition, what other things are you picking up about Davie?
Oh man.
I know I'm putting you on the spot. If it's bad, I'll cut it out. Okay, no pressure. But I would love to see because just with the astrology, there was a few things where I'm like, okay, this is too accurate, and that's what the logical side of my brain does. When things happen that can't be explained, it's like, what, but what else? What else are you, because you're picking up, I can tell you're picking stuff up. Like, what else? And by the way, Davie, I told her very little about you. Yeah, she jumped in before you did. Okay. And all I said was that you do Reiki. That's pretty much it. And then I was talking about like the last podcast and anyway, okay. What else?
It is harder when I'm like not in person because it's usually like when I'm in person.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can tell you like you're a like witty guy. Like and the thing is I can only like because I've seen the chart, it's hard for me to just like do it if I'm not in person. But definitely like, a witty guy. Like that's one of the first things. Like someone like you got a lot of like funny things to say. But it's like smart funny.
It happens a lot, yeah.
Yeah. What is he hiding? What is the thing he hides? What is he hiding?
I'm trying to look around. There's nothing hiding around here.
That's a hard. I can't say. I don't know what he's hiding.
That's a good answer. I don't know. I don't think you hide very much.
I'm hiding it well. No.
There's a lot of passion there. There's like, when you can outwardly tell when someone's passionate about something because like they'll talk and talk and talk. Like there's a lot of passion in there, like for the things that that you're interested in. Lots of it, and it's more of like, when you're in that space where you feel super free, it'll come out. But very much so, like day to day, especially like doing the work that you do is just like you keep it there, like, and you can keep it there on like buried for a little bit. That's not a hard thing for you to do, but I can see there's a lot of passion, lots of it. Yeah.
I'd say that's pretty accurate. Yeah. I do have one question about astrology. What if somebody doesn't know their birth time? Like I've always known my birth time because my mom like drilled it into me when I was a kid. So I remember 8:14 in the morning. So, okay, that's the time of day I was born. But what do you do if they don't know their birth time?
So if they don't know their birth time, I try to, see, okay, can you narrow it down? The first, I'll ask them to narrow it down. But there is a technique that I'm still working on too called chart rectification. So you can essentially like reverse engineer the chart, right? By using the chart rectification technique. I don't know too much about it yet because I am still focused on natal chart readings and synastry, which is like relationship readings. I get those a lot, but there is a way to find out, at least if you don't know the birth time. Why the birth time is so important is because you get your rising sign, and the rising sign, we need it because that's how we can figure out like the rest of the chart, how it's set up. So you do need the rising sign. So the rectification comes in will show at least a rising sign. So it makes a big difference. But if they don't have their birth time, then I either let them know that, hey, this reading is not going to be as accurate, or you can choose not to have one with me, and get the chart rectified before. But yeah.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I was curious about that because I know from when you were explaining your reading how the moon, or not the moon, the different planets can move within like an hour and a half or 2 hours of each other. So it does make a difference. Yeah.
It does. Yeah. Big difference. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for that.
No problem.
That's great. And one of the things that we're going to be doing here in the Third Eye Alliance official podcast, we're going to make people honorary members of the Third Eye Alliance. Now, something about this membership, if you want to be a member of the Third Eye Alliance, go to thirdeyalliance.com. You can sign up. We're pretty much anybody that we give the membership to, that we're going to bring them on the show as a guest. Okay. If you don't want to be a guest and you just want to be a member, just mention that when you fill out the information on the website. But we want to give you a special membership here because you're the first guest on the podcast, and really like the third member now of the Third Eye Alliance. We're going to give you what was I going to call it? We're going to give you basically an honorary founding membership in the Third Eye Alliance. Now, something to know, people at home, we're not going to charge for you to be on our podcast. We're not going to charge you to be a part of the Third Eye Alliance. It's going to be free to join forever. But to have a founding membership, we're going to make you a nice little kind of like a little logo that you can put. And I'd also like to give you a secondary kind of award, if you will. And it's basically the Third Eye Alliance, astrology expert logo. So what this is you can display it, and we recognize you as an expert, a high-level expert. So you are now one of the founding members of the Third Eye Alliance. I think this might be the last founding member, unless somebody's really special and asks really nicely. I don't think I'll probably give out another one of those. And as well, you are now our first official astrology expert, and we're going to be giving you a little symbol. We got a little logo that we have up in the corner there, the Third Eye Alliance logo that you saw during the intro. We're going to make, they're kind of like patches, I guess. Mm-hmm. It's a patch logo. So we're going to be giving you some patches that you can hide or display, whatever you want to do. But thank you so much for being on the Third Eye Alliance podcast. I'm feeling the wow factor right now here from some of the things that you said, about Davie J. I'm sure Davie J, like, he's quiet right now. Like, what's going on in your brain, Davie?
I'm amazed at how accurate it was. I mean, you banged out everything. It was amazing. Yeah. Wow. Very, very good.
You guys.
You hit on it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Cause you don't know when you're doing the reading, that logical side of your brain is like, is this real? Is this true? Is this actually happening? And that's some of the things that people don't understand, that even the people that believe, there's that little voice of doubt that's been put there by who knows who or who knows what.
Yeah, or sometimes the person's just completely deadpan, no reaction, and you're like, are they gonna hate me?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, inside they're going, holy crap,
They're
she's
literally
accurate.
they're dealing with it like what is happening right now.
Yeah, I feel totally, completely naked in front of everybody right now.
Oh,
well,
sorry.
we'll have to have you on again, and maybe we'll do some things. What other things can you predict with astrology beyond like a person?
Yeah, well, there's like predictive astrology is something that's been studied for a really, really long time. And you can pretty much predict anything except death. It's hard to predict death. I think predicting like birth is easier, but death is really hard. And most people just don't touch that. But pretty much anything else, if you know how to read it, if you know what techniques to use, because you have to use certain techniques. But this is where I like Vedic a little bit better in terms of prediction because they have spent a long time like figuring that out, right? Like especially marriage timing and these things, right? So even with any system you use, there is the ability to predict pretty much anything. Like when we talk about like mundane astrology, for example, mundane astrology is about like your day, how your this one day is gonna go, and there's people that specialize in that too, right? So
Wow.
yeah, anything.
Crazy. Do you have any questions for us? Is there something that you want to ask us?
Yeah, I wanted to know like how much of like astrology, like how do you find it, like whatever you know about it, what's your perception of it, of astrology?
For me, I got interested in it, of course, as a teenager because it was always like in the newspapers and stuff. And you're like, oh, what's going to happen if I'm interested in this girl I wanted? And so you'd read and, oh, no, it didn't come true. Just, it was, the usual ones. But having one like this was very eye-opening. So it really does show that it is accurate. And I can see why people would believe that astrology wasn't very accurate or whatever, because that's almost like junk food versus fine dining. So this is the fine dining instead of reading some junk food. So that's how I see this. So.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I've always gravitated towards cards and boards, and and it's weird. Like I feel weird when people do readings of me, and I always find when people do readings for me, they don't actually connect with me. Mm-hmm. It's like they connect to somebody else through me who needs the reading more. And that's happened to me over and over again. And that's what I was amazed about your reading, even though I gave you no information, hardly any information. You were connecting with me. And that's something that I find that's really rare. A lot of people like see other people through me, which is weird. Like it takes me a long time to find somebody to do readings for me because they'll do like 10 readings and I'm like, oh no, it's talking about this friend of mine. No, they're talking about this person, right? It doesn't hit me at all. But then, to find somebody like you that's able to connect, right? And I don't know, what do you think the reason for that is, Davie?
I would say actually it's probably because your birthday was involved with it, because she plugged your birthday in, not someone else's.
Yeah, but like why people don't connect to me usually when they do readings, they usually connect to somebody else like through me.
Maybe because in a way each person is like a walking antenna. We're connected. So and sometimes that antenna is an amplifying antenna and you're just the amplifier instead of the beacon, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, they're picking up radio signals from other people through me.
Or other planets, who knows?
Oh, the funny part is when I've had readings done, they predict things exactly for like one of my friends. Like exactly.
If it's me and it's lottery numbers, let me know. I'll share.
Yeah, I'm still working on it. I would love that to happen. I don't think we're meant to do that for ourselves.
I've tried. I can actually predict things if I'm not betting money.
Oh, yeah.
Accurate. But
Yeah, I can help other people.
Yeah, if I put my own money down, forget it. It's gone, or it's break even.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to just put the $2 down and get $1 million. So
Yeah, I always seem to break even when I'm gambling. Like when I'm actually gambling, I break even.
same
You know,
here.
lottery tickets though, it's like lose after lose after lose.
The most I won was $50 one time, and
Oh, that's
I
good.
was like, oh, sweet! I won $50 after spending $3,000 over how many years? So,
You're getting it back.
right?
Just a little bit of it. Oh my God. Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, that's about it for the Third Eye Alliance podcast. Thanks everybody for listening, watching. Of course, if you want to know how to watch this, if you haven't figured it out already, you can go to thirdeyalliance.com. We'll have all the information of where we're available. And of course, if you want to become a member of the Third Eye Alliance and appear on this podcast, feel free to go to thirdeyalliance.com and fill out the form to, submit to become a member of the Third Eye Alliance. If you're approved, we will have you on the podcast, unless you absolutely don't want to come on the podcast, and that'll be fine too. But that's it for me, for me, Christoph, and Davie J, and everybody else. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you and hear you and talk to everybody later. Okay.
Yep.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Thank you. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Whoop! What happened?
Oh, I guess she just hung up.
Did she?
I guess so.
Oh man!
We're still recording.
I wanted to talk forever.
I know. Get her back.
It's good. It's good stuff.
Unless she had to go. We're still recording, by the way, if you want.
You know, the end of the first episode, we were just talking, and I'm gonna leave it. We were talking about something at the end of the episode. I'm just gonna leave it, and maybe that can be a fun thing for the end of the show. People get to hear what we say when the show ends.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we could say anything.
True.